Should be able to.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Thank you for that beautiful practice this morning. That was right on time.
I was shocked that that was 40 minutes. I was like, I feel bad. I was trying to keep it under 30.
Oh, you were? Oh, that's funny. Oh, I thought it was great. Like,
Okay, good.
That's wonderful.
Good.
Can you
Oh,
guys,
I'm glad you enjoyed it. What'd you say?
it's not echoing at all, right? Because I'm sitting right next to you.
Mm-mm, I don't think so. Wait, are
Good.
you two together in the same room?
She look.
How cute is that?
hi.
Oh my gosh.
I'm hoping that our sweet friend Amy joined, Ami, she joined that challenge. She's in
Yeah.
Michigan. We were all in India together 5 years ago. So I'm hoping that she pops on.
She like I saw that she joined the challenge and I think at one point she was part of the Facebook group, but then I
Oh,
lost
she's
her. No, I tried to re-add her too, so I don't know if that's like a choice. Like her choice.
no, we'll get her back.
Oh,
It's probably a
I need to
mistake.
join the Facebook group too. I don't think I've done that yet.
Yay.
Cool. Welcome.
Hey Michael.
Greetings.
So I guess we'll just maybe go over some like introductions and then we can go ahead and get started. So I'll just go first since I'm already talking. My name's Kristen. I lead retreats, I teach yoga, and I coach people through yogic lifestyle. And so me and McKinsey kind of came up with this idea to host a challenge to showcase all of our amazing connections that we have with people who are just like so wise and working in the field, but also just kind of create a space where we can all come to like learn and heal and practice together. Um, nice. We have someone else. So fun. All right, you want to go next?
Me, Mackenzie. Me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Now, hello, everyone. I'm McKinsey. I teach yoga. I also lead retreats down in Nicaragua, where we will be at. I teach there during the high season. Um, yeah, I guess I really wasn't ready for this introduction.
It's okay. Keep it
So
short and sweet.
I'm like, oh, but yeah. So glad that we got together to do this. Creating this challenge was such a good idea, and just kind of will showcase what we offer and what our retreat is going to be about as well. We're also going to journey deeper into the chakras, and being in person, it's more potent energy, I feel like. So this is just like a little dip in the water, if you will, for what to expect if you're curious about what this trait has to offer.
Yes. And so we are talking all about the root chakra today. So if we have our dear friend Kristie from Root Bound Yoga. And Kristie, do you want to tell a little bit about yourself first?
Sure. So, my name's Kristie. I am a yoga teacher. I help guide women to a sustainable self-care practice, like however that looks, but all with yoga traditions and teachings. I am a keeper of the land. I try to help my local community in food rescue and just teaching people more about how to connect to their homeland and how to nourish themselves and their chakras, their energy, through food and through water. And yeah, and through movement. And I'm so honored to be talking about the root chakra. It's so dear to me. Especially like with my business being called Root Bound Yoga, it has a lot to do with all of those things and the journey that has taken me to where I am in the present.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so happy to have you here. And when me and Mackenzie were like coming up with this idea and who we were going to ask, the first person that came to mind was you. And it was a done deal. I knew that we needed all of your wisdom here for some root chakra healing.
I will always do anything to accommodate any of your teachings, girl.
So,
Do you want me?
well, the first question that I feel like would be fun to ask like all of our guests just to see like all the diverse answers is, how do you align with the divine? Like, what does that mean to you? And what are some practices you have? Well, I'm asking you, girl.
You're asking me? Oh, for sure. So, like no question, first thing that pops up is hands in dirt. That is how I truly get out of self. And even when I'm having a hard time in meditation, that is my meditation, you know, like literal hands in soil, no gloves. That is how I align and how I get direct downloads from the divine. I am a water being by nature, even though I'm from a landlocked place. I am a Pisces and soaking for long periods of time, rather it being, whether it's like in my bathtub or in healing waters like sound baths or in hot springs. That's definitely how I'm able to ground and align with the divine. And then I think on the collective is bringing service to others is definitely how I'm able to connect directly. Yeah.
I love that. Yes, I feel like you are such a earthy mama, especially these days. Kristie didn't say this, but she runs a whole community garden in Colorado Springs. She's like the real keeper of the land. So one thing that really has like, I would love to talk about more is just like the connection to like healing the root chakra through earth, like how healing ourselves and like finding safety within ourselves, nourishing ourselves, how that is like completely correlated to like how we treat the earth and like culturally like the shifts that we have to see in order in within ourselves, but like also in our environment to be able to be like really nourishing this earth, but also ourselves and how that's kind of correlated. So I'd love to hear like your thoughts about that.
Super intertwined and correlated. And I'm even like I'm really loving aging because I'm able to kind of connect the dots to where I am now, especially with really taking care of community land. From an early age, I was a nomad, right? So I left home really early, and then I left like my physical state really early, which, you know, I've come to realize like not a lot of people do. Sure, people may be well traveled, but leaving their place of birth is kind of far and few between. So I think when I left home at an early age was because it started to feel unsafe. And then I was always in search of that home feeling. And so when you asked me to come on and talk about the root chakra, I sat with what root means to me, right? And it really does equal home. And so my healing journey started away from my original home about 2017. And it started with wanting to nourish self better. And as I started that journey, I was called back home to the land that I'm from. And at first, I avoided being in the exact space that I'm from. I was just in the vicinity, and that's how I was connected with Kristen through food, which was really interesting, and through my need to, or my desire to start nourishing myself and this home better. And that that like nomad instinct landed me back to the space that I was birthed. And then I just really got interested, and it really led me to taking care of the specific land that I'm from. And through that, just recently, because this is only our first season at the community garden, I've realized that home isn't our outside environment. Home isn't the 3D. Home is in here, you know? And so really just connecting to wanting the things that go into my being and into my vessel to be pure, I had to investigate where those things come from. And then that led me more into nourishing the land as much as I nourish myself, and then really connecting those two things. Yeah.
So it's like you like seeking to nourish yourself, seeking to make a home in your own body. And that's what like led you down the path of realizing, oh, like none of the water that comes out of any of the sinks in our house is like drinkable. And also like none of the food that we really eat is grown in a way that's conducive for our bodies to even be able to digest them, or they're sprayed with things that are not even
or conducive or sustainable for the home that we reside in as a collective, which is Mama Gaia, right? Yeah. So like really being able to connect and intertwine those two things. And then, I did it selfishly. I did it all for myself. And that has just paved the way to continue and teach community to do the same thing with wherever it is that we reside, and to bring homage to the land where we reside. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, the safety and security and stability and confidence of the root chakra all has to do with how safe we feel within our small environments or the collective around us. Yeah, it's all very intertwined, and it's really lovely. Yeah. Gosh, what else? I did take some notes.
Just comment. I think overwhelmingly, like the biggest thing that comes up for me when in my like root chakra healing, or just like in what I experience in like other people that I come across or clients, is that like that safety, that like seeking external for safety, and like not creating a safe home within themselves, so then it's like once that root, like it's kind of like plants, like all plants need really strong roots to be able to grow. You want to expand, you really need to root down more, you have to grow below the surface. You have to make a safe space out of your physical self to be able to experience everything else. That's how you experience love. That's like where you draw your willpower for, that's how you experience like pleasure, and all of these things are very like opening, balancing, help us to be able to continue ascending like up the chakras. But what really matters is like having a safe space inside of ourselves to be able to hold space for others, like you're doing in this community garden, to be able to teach others, like you have to have that solid foundation to be able to grow in whatever direction, up, side to side, whatever it is. Like you want to bloom some flowers, then you better root down.
That's right. Yeah. And, really noticing, and it's funny, like the same lessons that the garden gives me, that the land or the soil or the plants in the soil gives me, are such lessons that I'm able to take throughout my day. Just mentioning that this is our first season in the garden, planting seeds and collecting community. I was quickly reminded by nature that I shouldn't come with a plan, and that I should come with an intention. It's important to come with an intention, but to let go of everything else, to really be present in what she needs. And I experienced that just with teaching yoga, as I'm sure the both of you do too, is, I taught my first in-person class. I've taught lots of classes online, and I taught my first in-person class a few months ago, and I was so nervous, and I had everything like to the T. The playlist was on point, and one woman showed up and she was in her 70s, and so out the door went all the work that I had done the night before, freaking out about how like it needs to look and it needs to be. And yeah, it's just those things that the land is teaching me, and really being able to ground down and be present. And yeah, it's all of those things. And I really love like some of the I loved your exercise this morning. The flow was perfect and really reminding how to ground down and root and tap in. And because I'm starting to grow, just I'm in Washington right now on vacation, and walking around this land, uh all the berries and all the red fruits are in season right now, and you could literally just walk down the streets and be able to nourish yourself with these things. So I'm very about, yeah, growing. Root chakra seems to be something that's been subtly the focus for the last couple of years for me, and it's brought me to my true purpose.
Yeah, I've kind of watched you go on this journey of like realizing that there's like some stuff under the surface that needs to get healed, and just being like, screw it, I'm moving to Colorado Springs and this is what I'm doing. And it really has, like, I've known Kristie since before she was even a yoga teacher. And in the past couple of years, she's just like become such a space holder in so many ways. And I feel like that is such a testament to just how important it is to like tend to your roots. Like McKinsey and I right now are both in a similar situation where we're tending to our roots right now. Like
One thing it's so defined, right? Like once we tend to ourselves, then it all just flows. And even some more. So now that I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling more at home, I'm feeling stabilized, I'm feeling secure in the decisions that I'm making day to day, and like the home that I'm building for myself. The more advanced practices have been somatic, body, breath work, all pertaining to this area of the root chakra, or really connecting to my lineage or my ancestry, which is something that I've really pushed off, and where there's been a lot of fire around. But now that I'm more grounded in my root, I'm able to explore that more with grace and openness, and not so much fire.
Well, I think that's really relatable. I think that like whether, like I think all of us were probably like born in a hospital. That was a huge birth trauma. I'm sure a lot of both of our parents needed to like be working, that's another trauma, is like separating you from your mother, and like all of these things that we had to go through to become who we are today. Like, oftentimes we like, maybe we can't like consciously remember because we were so young, but then other times it's like, it's rooted in shame, it's rooted in disappointment, it's rooted in abandonment, and all these feelings are like very tied to it. So we kind of think that like, if we just avoid it, or if we just like kind of skate around it, like, or, don't really scratch the surface of it, it'll be okay. But it's like literally tending to your roots. Like, where did you come from? Where did these patterns start? Like, when did you start believing in yourself? When did you stop feeling safe in your body? Like, and answering these questions, albeit like it might be like a little bit challenging, but it's like creating space to expand, like creating space to feel, creating space to grow, creating space to look at it from like a more mature perspective. I read something just recently. It was like, we go up our chakras as we age, like between 0 and 18. And then once we like get out of the home, or, we all have kind of like different time frames for that. But it's like, then once you move out of your parents' home, you're working your way up the chakras from the root to the crown. Again, it's like putting your feet down, like being able to stand on your own 2 feet, like being able to meet your survival needs, you know, like all of these things that we have to relearn as adults again, and we're held back from our full potential if we can't heal like the root cause of things.
Absolutely. I completely relate to that. You know, like I didn't learn until later in life, like early 30s. I got sober in my late 20s. So like early 30s was really about, wow, like you didn't feel stable. You know, like all of these home things, these root values needed to be addressed again in order for me to build from that. And that's why I was called home. You know, that's why I was drawn back to Colorado, and then even avoiding like the specific place, and then COVID happening and like pushing me to that. And then I'm just kind of glad that I have this like nomad spirit, so that I listen to that and I can follow that rather than having this structure. Because yeah, I'm like a rebel for structure. I mean, like that's what the root is about too, you know, and I'm
Like,
even finding that in the garden. Yeah, even that in the garden, like right now, like the structure of the beds that were put there, like it drives me nuts. I'm like, no, let's like get in there and disrupt this and then see what happens.
yeah, I like, it's kind of like what you said, where like once you know, you have to like just show up and allow. It's like you can't have a plan. The plan always changes. So it's like, why waste your time and energy trying to like will your way through something with like this complete, I like, you know, we can go in with an idea and an intention, like you said, but you have no idea where the path is going to take you. And if you can release that control, like that's when the path unfolds. It's like when we keep pushing up against resistance, that like that's when things get a little bit, I feel like that's when we start running in circles.
Complicated, right? It's no longer ease, it's more complicated. And yeah, the more that I'm able to ground in and listen, the more things come with ease. And just like the root chakra is directly related to food, water, shelter, like the basic necessities of survival. It's totally like what I based my program on, you know, like coming back to these very basic needs of, yeah, as long as we tend to these basic things, because gosh, I mean, let's just take a moment to realize like the time that we're in, we have so much available to us always. And like your basic stuff just gets lost in that so quickly. And the more that I can just bring myself back to these basic needs of food, water, shelter, and like continuing to, because it's a practice, continuing to like make that as easy and fluid and non-toxic as possible, the rest of the chakras align that way.
So I want to hear about like what are your like when you go back to basics, tell me what like that what those pillars are for you.
Nourishment, rest, movement, and connection.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we can't live without any of those things. We could for, you know, long periods of time, but to be able to live to potential,
Wouldn't
like
thrive though. We'd be surviving, but we wouldn't be thriving.
I thrive, really, it's just those four things that if we just work those four things into our daily practice slowly, and then tweak them as things change and environments change, then yeah, you're thriving rather than surviving. And then you're able to regulate a lot easier. And I swear that that is just the goal, the lifelong goal is to be able to self-regulate and pass that on to others.
Yes, I read this quote, I shared it to my stories, and I love this woman. I have no idea what her name is off the top of my head. She's got a bunch of books on just resting, which I'm like so called to, because I'm like, yes, I need a little bit of permission. You know, I need someone to tell me it's good and why. Because I have permission, just like everyone else, you know, like everyone, I'm sure people can relate to like in today's society, like we are so like congratulated for like always multitasking, always doing something, working harder, hustling and grinding. And I'm trying so hard to just like step away from that. But this quote was something like, the more you rest, like the more capacity you have to hold space for others, to be like that calm, centered, rooted, grounded person that we all need so badly in this life. You know, like we're all buzzing around being crazy. Like when I think about who I want to be for others, I want to be someone who like, I want someone to describe me as like a glass of lavender tea, you know, like I want them to feel so at ease when they're around me. Like that's who I want to be for other people. And that's like the environment that I have to be within myself, is like take care of my body, like feed myself the way that I need to be able to survive, which was like a big journey for me personally this year. And I love what you're doing with like drinking structured water, like making sure that we're hydrated in a way that our bodies can actually receive and not like polluting ourselves even more. So we have like probably about like maybe like 15 or so minutes. I don't know if you want to like tell us a little bit about what you've got going on, and then we can like open up to questions.
Sure. Yeah. I love what you said about multitasking, right? Because there's this, and I've had this conversation even just on this trip with some people that I really cherish all the things that they love and they do. And just like I said, you know, we're in this crazy time where there's so much available to us, which I know, Kristen, McKinsey, I don't know you very well, but I look forward to knowing you more. I know Kristen is a multi-passionate woman, and like she's good at lots of different things. And I feel like multi-passionate and being able to stay balanced in that is very different than multitasking. And more expansion comes from being able to rest. You know, this is the first year that I've run my business. And so I have a 12-week program to help others establish a sustainable self-care practice. And by sustainable, I mean something that's going to constantly change, but that works, you know, like that works for the individual. And the more, so January was a time when everybody was like hitting the racetrack and like, oh, here's all my goals, this is what I'm doing. But coming back to how we relate to the earth and how the earth has seasons and even seasons within seasons. And then like really knowing more about eating seasonally and like being able to receive what she provides at a specific time and know more. Like, I don't know if you've ever read The Honorable Harvest, but I suggested, and this all has to do with like the root chakra too. I really took January, February, March to rest and to really get defined on what it is that, you know, I want to do when we spring forward. And that rest allowed my capacity to expand broader than I thought. Because then June came and here's the opening of the garden, even though we had been like working to get it open for months. It was like the opening of the garden, and then I'm finally on a break from back to basics. So being able to create more. And then June came and I'm like, okay, here we go, garden and back to basics. And the universe was like, no, I have something different for you. You already have the garden and back to basics going well. So now we're bringing something else into your lap. And I was like, oh, like it's not, but that's what happens when we're able to rest and honor our bodies and honor our homes, our vessels. We expand, just like you said. And I just think it's really beautiful. I'm actually collaborating with some of the people in my area. So I'm in Colorado Springs, and we're holding a class on chakras and movement specifically. And so it's kind of like somatic. It's like how we're able to move these energies through our bodies through the yogic poses. So I'm excited to do that. I'm collaborating with my friend, Amy Lala. She is Soul Beam Energetics. She's a Reiki master. And so we're doing that within our own little community, which is great. And then I'll be starting another Back to Basics, a 12-week go. I'm September 1. Yeah, and then I'm also doing my first retreat. I was asked to bring movement to a little mountain 4-day retreat in Woodland Park. And I'm really excited to do that because it's called Sisters, Soul and Soil. And I was like, yay, pick me. And so I'm really excited to like honor the land, the Ute land that we'll be on, and to bring a little history and ways to move through the chakras to the ladies that come to that. So that's super exciting. I wish I was coming to your retreat. But I have a feeling that you'll be meeting some of my people. So that'll be good. But yeah, I'm like, however the root chakra really resonates with you, I'm always open to hear more ways of how people connect to that. I know that intensity, so just a few of the practices that I really do on a regular basis was something that you covered in the flow today was our feet, right? Our feet are our roots. And so I give a lot of foot love, whether it's like rolling out my feet daily, or I do like this toe spreading exercise that can be a little painful until you like start to do it on a regular basis, just to bring a little more love and attention to our feet, just because I feel like they don't get it as often as possible. But even things like yoni steaming, and then like high intensity short practices, like in Colorado Springs, we have the incline. So I used to say I torture myself with it, but really it's just to bring that fire up and out.
Gotta go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere. So yeah, I would love to know anybody's like favorite way to really like tap into root chakra.
Well, I'll go first, but then I'll open it up. My favorite ways are like just grounding. Like I just love to like plant my feet on the ground. Really, like I love to imagine like I'm like recycling out all my negativity and all the stuff that needs to go, like all the stagnant stuff, like just recycling it back into the earth. And then I draw my breath in all the way to the crown of my head. And I imagine like I'm like a little tree and I'm just like drying up all the nutrients from my roots. Like that's probably my favorite practice.
I have a question for you. I have 2 clients because grounding was a practice that we do in Back to Basics. I have 2 clients that hate feet. Because I feel like it's like a love-hate relationship, right? You either have a foot fetish or
I feel like you could be indifferent about them too.
You're right. But 2 of the women that I coached absolutely hate feet. And absolutely, when I say touch your foot to the ground, they're like, you're joking. Do you have any suggestions for like how to ease into that?
I would say like just start with like socks on, like inside, and just like press down and like root down through all 4 corners of the feet, really press the ground away from you, feel your solid ground. And I mean, you can even like when I do that, like, and I have a lot of practices, like that is one for me that like literally makes my legs start like spasming because they're taking in so much energy. And it's really powerful just to ground our feet on the ground, but like the right way, not in like with our legs crossed or like being kind of lazy about it. It has to be very intentional, but like pressing that ground away can really like bring a lot of energy back into our roots.
Totally.
McKinsey, what are some of your favorite ways to ground and connect?
Definitely just being out in nature. just allowing myself to be and just like lay in the grass and
Yes.
watch go by, or like when I'm back in Nicaragua, I'll like bury myself in sand. So I just
That's so nice.
feel that like of on me, and with playing in the soil, like getting my hands dirty and not really thinking about anything else, just really trying to be mindful and present with what I'm, I guess, like experiencing through the senses.
Yes. I love that. I always just feel like so inclined to just like bury, not my whole head, but like my whole body just in the dirt.
Mm.
One question that I really work with root chakra and is like, what do I need? Like, what action can I take right now to feel more safe in my body, in my environment, like in my relationships? Like, and that just kind of is like the basis of it, like then it's like actually taking the action, like having the confidence and the willpower to actually do something about it, having like compassion and empathy for myself and others along the way. But it's like, I feel like Kristie is such a shining example of like what can happen when you go back to the basics and tend to your roots, like it's like living in survival mode. So many of us, I mean, I can totally relate to feeling like I'm living in survival mode. Like I'm not thriving. I'm always stressed, like not anymore, but like being there in a place where all you can think about is like feeding yourself, like and if you're all of your core function, like all of your focus, everything is focused on just surviving, then you're not leaving any space for like creativity, for healing, for connection, like actual meaningful connection. It's like your whole nervous system is focused on just surviving. And then you take a step back and ask yourself, like, how can I feel more safe? Like, what do I need to feel more safe? Maybe it's like planting a garden in the backyard. Maybe it's like, sadly, like picking up a second job to like be able to stand on your own 2 feet financially, or in another way, like cutting back, like where can I cut back on expenses so I don't have to get another job so I can still afford to live, like, or like where can I ask for support is another big one that like I have a lot of resistance to. It's like when you grow up like feeling kind of like abandoned by like the people who are supposed to take care of you, you get like, you're like so independent, and I feel like as we grow older, we like really hold on to that, like, well, I've raised myself this far and I'm sure I can do it. No, like we all need each other, like trees outside in the earth, like they send nutrients to each other through their roots, and like when the other one is sick, they'll like send them extra nutrients, or when one needs a little extra to grow, like, and us humans too, we're that exact same way. So like I have to remember that too, is like I don't have to do it all on my own. Like I can ask for help. And that normally is like the birthplace of me like moving forward with stuff, is like if you reach out and like get vulnerable, get back to your basics. I think we're going to get cut off here soon. So if that happens, drop any questions or anything in the Facebook group, and we can answer them there. But yeah, thank you so much for being here with us tonight, Kristie and Michael and Angelina. And I look forward to hearing any questions that you might have, or continuing our discussion in our Facebook group.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely. I'm so excited for the rest of the challenge.
Yes, me too. Just the day